Guess we started. Welcome back, everybody, to Amateur Hour Sports. Thank you so much for joining me on this fine Thursday evening for some more Raptors off-season coverage and more. Plenty to discuss today. I accidentally hit the button that went to this screen. I was absolutely planning on just letting the full intro run out, but hey, no problem. Here we are. What we got on the menu for today, we're going to be discussing quite a few things, actually. First of all, we're going to be going over the Olympics. And the men's basketball games that we saw today, a very, very entertaining game between Serbia and the United States of America, where the U.S., wow, they found a way. They came back and they found a way to get through and go on to the gold medal game. And we'll also be talking about the other game that took place a little bit. I didn't catch as much as this one, but we talked a little bit about France and their victory over Germany. A slight upset, I will say, as France advanced to the gold medal game. On top of that, into the NBA sphere, into the Raptors sphere, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Christian Koloko update that we got today. I'm going to be going through a little bit of how I think Darko is going to play out with the rotations this season. And then one of our big segments today will be covering Chris Boucher and the possible destinations for him as far as a trade is concerned. And of course, as always along the way, any questions, any thoughts, anything at all you've got in the chat, you let me know. And we can get to those things as well. But I hope everybody's having a great week so far. It's August 8th. Front offices, they're not home. They're not doing anything. We're in the dry. So, I mean, to be honest, I said that like last week. And in that time, the Raptors signed Bruno Fernando. So, maybe they're still up to a few things here or there. But for the most part, front offices ain't doing too much right now. No moves of great significance going down. The Raptors do have 2 roster spots remaining. So, there's opportunity there. But not much is going to be going down for the next little bit. That's what I would have to say. Quick interruption here, too. Shout out to Kellen in the chat. Drop in a super chat. Thank you so much for sending it in. Appreciate that. Always, always, always does not go unnoticed, and it's always very much appreciated. I want to take a look, actually, at the, this is a good way to start. The Raptors. Oh, my dog's trying to break in. This damn door, it doesn't shut all the way. And it took my dog about a month of living here to figure out that if she just nudges it, it will open. You can't come in here. Sorry, buddy. You can't come in here. I'm sorry. So now she can come in as she pleases. We do have right now we're... Let's do it again. Anyways, right now we're cat sitting, me and my girlfriend. So we have something like a little hook on the door that keeps it open enough for the cat to get in and out, but not for the dog. But the dog does know that if she nudges the closed door, she can't get in. Put a barricade on the door. What I can do, actually, as the super chat comes through officially, what I can do is actually I can put in a maintenance request to my building and they can come fix it. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really want to bother them with something, but the dog will eventually figure it out and give up on this one. We'll be all good. But what I did want to start with, as I was talking about, is the Raptors roster situation. So easy maintenance request, indeed. I also may have ripped some of the paint off the door by accident when I initially installed the cat hook. Anyways, they could fix that too. I want to discuss, because I think every offseason there's a little bit of confusion regarding how the roster situation works. So as of right now, and honestly, some of this stuff I was unaware of when I did the Bruno Fernando. I know about how the rosters work in the offseason. I wasn't aware of the complete picture for the Raptors, because when the Raptors signed Bruno Fernando, my immediate thought was, okay, it's a camp deal. They'll sign him. Honestly, I honestly thought Bruno Fernando was just getting signed to make up the numbers in training camp. Just have a rim protector. They haven't not done that before, so I didn't think this would be different. But then I looked at the actual roster picture. So, as I was saying, if anybody doesn't know, you're allowed now, this is different than before, you're allowed 21 players for your training camp. 15 players make the final roster, the opening day roster. 3 additional players on top of that 15 are on two-way contracts. The two-way contract players right now are Brandon Carlson, the 25-year-old big out of Utah, going into his rookie season. Who's the second one? The second one is Ulrich Shamshe, signed a two-way contract out of his 57th overall selection, the recent NBA entry draft. Rare, very rare for a second-round pick, or a draft pick in general, to be given a two-way contract, but I think that's a good situation for him to be in. And the third two-way contract, I actually didn't know. DJ Carton was the third two-way player. I was operating as if DJ Carton was just on a normal deal. I guess in hindsight, he wouldn't be guaranteed a full season. But DJ Carton is a third two-way player. So those guys are pretty much assured of making the roster on one of those two-way deals. Anyways, what you do need to look for is 3 players who are going to get cut. The Raptors only have 19 players on their training camp roster at the moment, including Bruno Fernando. So the only one right now they would cut is Jamison Battle, who is on an Exhibit 10 deal. If you don't know what an Exhibit 10 deal is, in short and as simply as possible, an Exhibit 10 contract, it's just if you get cut and don't make the Raptors or your NBA team's opening roster, you get a bonus if you sign for that team's G League affiliate. So essentially, it's okay, show up to training camp. You won't make it very likely, but you'll get an additional bonus for committing to us now that you're going to play for our G League team. That's the situation with Jamison Battle. Therefore, Bruno Fernando, as of right now, as of the current roster, August 8th, if the Raptors enter training camp with this roster, Bruno Fernando would 105% be on the opening day roster. So, Nebu in chat says, what percentage chance do you think that Bruno Fernando will get cut if you had to give? Right now, it's 0. But honestly, right now it's 0. The Raptors have 2 more summer training camp spots available. Like, what's out there that they're going to sign that beats out Fernando? They'll probably sign at least 1 more Exhibit 10 guy. They might do 2, but they'll probably go for an Exhibit 10 contract next. And other than that, the free agency pool is pretty dry. There's not a huge opening. There's not a huge, presence there that we can sign. So it's looking quite good for Bruno Fernando to make the final roster. One caveat to understand about Bruno Fernando's contract, which is actually interesting. Bruno Fernando, his contract is completely non-guaranteed after training camp. But if he is on the Raptors roster for the first game of the season, he is fully guaranteed for year 1. Not cut off, not partial guarantee. If he makes the Raptors roster for the NBA season, guaranteed for a full NBA season of pay, which is surprising again. So when I initially saw the contract, I thought not a great deal of confidence in him. So I think if I'm playing a little detective here, this contract to me looks like, okay, the Raptors need a backup big. The Raptors need a rim protector. A rim protecting backup big, because kind of makes a good backup big. They need a rim protector in their rotation. If Christian Koloko is not healthy for the NBA season, guarantee Bruno Fernando for the whole season. Pay him. That's your rim protecting backup big. If Christian Koloko comes back, and we'll talk about it today, there's a chance he does, you cut Bruno Fernando, wipe your hands clean, you don't have to pay him. Christian Koloko is your backup rim protecting big. Because it's strange to have you're only paid for training camp, you make the roster fully guaranteed a year. So it looks to me like maybe that's something on the Raptors' mind. So I guess we'll just have to see. But as of right now, it's a tight window for Koloko to all of a sudden become available. So I'm not so sure. But it does look to me like the Raptors won't find enough players to replace Bruno Fernando, so he'll be on the roster, which I actually am decently intrigued by seeing what Fernando could look like for a season with the Raptors. I just haven't lost my intrigue that has built since his college days playing for Maryland, where I was a fan of the player in college. I do remember watching him play for Maryland. I thought he had NBA potential. So for that reason, I'm optimistic about his abilities. Darko needs to correct 5 players we drafted shooting mechanic. We only drafted 4. Kobe Walter's fine. Jamal Shad is not a shooter. Jonathan Mobo does not shoot. Period. No shooting. Period on Jonathan Mobo at the moment. Ulrich Shamshay, he ain't a shooter. Let's just say that. We didn't draft the 5th guy. Undrafted free agent Brandon Carlson can shoot, actually. So I'm not sure. But we will discuss the rotation. So the Koloko situation, this is a good segue into this. The Koloko situation is this. I did a video about him on Friday last week, 6 days ago. There is an update regarding Christian Koloko. So he's been working. He's been cleared for basketball activity. However, he has not been cleared by the NBA. So he is working out. He is doing basketball stuff. Apparently that's going well, but he's not yet been cleared by the NBA. He is still dealing with a blood clot issue. However, this article does enlighten that he's been taking blood thinners. And I'm trying to look for the direct quote here. He had surgery that he's been recovering from for the last 4 months. And essentially, the situation is in a couple of weeks, they're going to scan for blood clots. And if there's none, they're all good. If there's no blood clots in 2 weeks, everything is all good. So if in 2 weeks, he's all good, hopefully he's all good. That's the big thing. Hopefully, for his sake, I'd rather he come back to the NBA and play for a different team than not come back to the NBA at all. But if he is cleared and if he does come back to the NBA, it would be great if the Raptors could sign him. If they do, then Bruno Fernando's spot on the roster is in peril because the current roster situation, let's run through, right? Point guards, quickly, Mitchell, Shed, bang. None of those guys are getting cut. You're not going to beat any of those guys. Shooting guards, Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter. They ain't getting cut. Forwards, Barrett, Brown, Temple, Barnes, Abaji, not getting cut. Bigs, Boucher. Sorry, well, I guess Boucher. But Pirtle, 11. Olynyk, 12. Mobo, 13. Boucher, too expensive to cut, so 14. That's 14 players not getting cut. Not even in a threat of getting cut. 14 guys already there. There's one spot that you can fight for. There's 14 guys that are just absolutely, positively not going to get cut. What's the point of cutting Boucher? So one spot available. It's Bruno Fernando's right now because we have DJ Carden, Brandon Carlson, Ulrich Shamsi on 2 ways. Jamison Battle, as I said, on the Exhibit 10. So that last spot is Bruno Fernando's unless somebody else takes it. Who else could take it? Christian Koloko, right? You can come back from it. Steven Stamkos at blood clots came out. I actually didn't know that. Very interesting. Very successful. Steven Stamkos, as we would know. I'm ready to move on from Koloko. Just let the guy go live his life healthy somewhere else. I'm not. I'm in disagreement. If he comes back to the NBA, I think he's a very good and promising player. I would absolutely like to use him. And the Raptors are in the same boat as well. If he's healthy, we've got the spot for him. Health risk. If he's cleared to play, he's cleared to play. They're actively working to rectify the situation. As 5 Adams said in chat, blood clot is career-threatening, but it doesn't mean you cannot recover from it and continue to play your professional sport. So, for me, if Koloko is healthy and cleared to play basketball, sign him. That's your 15th guy for the roster. Hopefully, he does accept. Who are our shooting guards rotation? This is where it's difficult. We'll talk about the rotation. This is where it's difficult because, I've got, like, shooting guard. Like, what is a shooting guard? Is Grady Dick a shooting guard, or is he a small forward? Is R.J. Barrett a small forward, or is he a shooting guard? Jacoby Walter's a shooting guard, I'll tell you that. But it's hard to just pin down a specific position. Like, point guards are point guards. There's combo guards, but in the end, like, there's point guards who are point guards. Emmanuel Quickley is a point guard for the Raptors. But, and centers are centers, typically. Like, Pirtle is a center. Olynyk's not necessarily a center. He can be a power forward. So, who are the shooting rotation? I don't know. It's a mix of Grady Dick, R.J. Barrett, Jacoby Walter, Bruce Brown. For me, you have your point guard designated. You have your center more or less designated. And then it's just wings. You want to have some size. You want to have some shooting. But positions don't mean as much necessarily as I would say they used to. So, in my world here, Grady Dick's your starting shooting guard. Jacoby Walter is your backup shooting guard. But it's not as black and white as I'm making it out to be here. So you will see Barrett playing as the shooting guard. You'll probably have some lineups where Emmanuel Quickley is at the shooting guard. Another point guard is in alongside him, like David Mitchell. So, yeah. It's tough to say. But as far as rotations are concerned, I did a video talking about the Grady Dick Bruce Brown thing today. This is like the 10-man rotation I would do. If you want to trim the fat and go down to a 9-man rotation, it gets a bit tricky because when I was talking about the roster and guys who were getting cut, I said we had 14 guys who are surefire not getting cut. Usually there's like a few spots up for grabs. But the Raptors are not top heavy, but they are pretty bottom heavy. Like it's quite a deep team. Like there are some decent players who are not in this 10-man rotation I've laid out. Like Chris Boucher is an NBA rotation caliber player, not in my rotation here. So this 10-man rotation, it's tough. You'll probably have to play all 10 of these guys. You cannot afford really. You're not necessarily can't afford, but you kind of have to play all these guys. Jamal Shed as well. Like he shouldn't be completely exempt from minutes. Boucher should not be completely exempt from getting minutes. Mobo will struggle. I don't think there's a spot for Mobo in this rotation. Garrett Temple is not in rotation. So, yeah, it's kind of tough, but this is the starting five I would go with. I said in the video today, I would seriously not be surprised if Darko Rajakovic just decides to go with Bruce Brown as the starting quote-unquote shooting guard. This is how I would do it. If Darko wasn't a simple coach who just did, a full bench lineups, or the 4+1 lineups, the infamous 4+1 lineups, he should. I mean, this is even more of a reason to go with this lineup if he does the 4+1 lineups. But out the gate, you might see 5 guys coming off the bench in that rotation. The way Kelly Olynyk looked for Team Canada, he might fall out of it, but it's tough. With this, the way I see it here, I was going to say, like, does Abaji all of a sudden fall out of rotation? It's tough to cut him out of this because I'm looking for a way to trim this to a 9-man rotation. And at the moment, it's going to be 10-man out the gate. It's going to be 10-man out the gate. Because, like, who would you not play out of these 10? Walter's got to get minutes. Unless he drops, you know what? If Walter drops to the G League, there's your cut. He can come back up later like Grady Dick did. But there could be a growing phase for him. Out the gate, though, this is the 10-man rotation. I pray Darko doesn't go full bench. What I would do with this. Oh no! So what I'm trying to piece this together on the spot here. You could drop so Barnes will have to get a lot of the bulk bench minutes because you cannot play 5 bench. Barnes could sub out early, which would give you, you'd have to put in Bruce Brown probably if you do that as your sixth man. Unless you do a Baji. Do you do a Baji? If you do a Baji early, then you could probably get away with starting Bruce Brown at the 2. In my head, this makes sense. So I'm thinking, if Barnes is like your first guy out because you want him getting the big minutes with the bench lineup because like he saves you. Barnes off first. Abaji in quickly. I shouldn't use quickly. Abaji in early as that first sort of sub. If you did that early, you have more of an opportunity to get away with Bruce Brown starting at the shooting guard, which is what I think Darko is going to try to do. I'm struggling to find a way to make Bruce Brown starting make sense. I wouldn't start him. Darko might want to start Bruce Brown for Grady Dick. So if Grady Dick's off the bench with Walter, Mitchell, Olynyk, if you subbed out Barnes early for Abaji, you have a better chance of getting away with that bench unit. So I think that's the way Darko might piece it together. But also, Barnes is your best player. You want to load him up with minutes. So how I would do it and how Darko would do it are different. Okay, because I'm struggling to try and go through what is in Darko's head, because it's mind-boggling sometimes, some of the decisions. This is what I would do. I'd start it like this. How you see it here, right? First sub, Bruce Brown comes in. Can you get away with the size? How tall is Bruce Brown? Bruce Brown's 6'4", if I'm not mistaken. "6'4". That's what I thought. Yeah, you can't. How tall? RJ Barrett's what? 6'6". As much as Grady Dick is tall, he can't play that. Yeah, Grady Dick is. So Barrett's 6'6". Grady Dick's 6 foot. He's actually 6'8", but he doesn't play like that, you know. Okay. I feel like I'm all over the place here. All right. Maybe Bruce Brown starting does make sense. No. Start Grady Dick. First sub, Bruce Brown for Grady Dick. Grady Dick goes to the bench. Second sub, Ochai Agbaji comes in for Scotty Barnes. Then you'd have a decent lineup with Quickly, Brown, Barrett, Agbaji, Pirtle. Then you have some mash of a second unit, which would see Mitchell playing with Walter, Dick, Barnes, and Olynyk. That actually I do like that lineup. So that's how I would do it. There you go. Your subs early are Brown and Agbaji for Barnes and Dick. Then a lot of your bench minutes would be praying, because, you know, we're not doing 4+1s or just 0 and 5s, like no starters, all bench, or one starter, 4 bench. I want to do the 2 and 3. The 2 would be Dick and Barnes with Mitchell, Walter, and Olynyk. That makes sense. You've got shooters. You've got Barnes doing his thing. You've got the defense there. You maybe lack a little bit of rim protection that hopefully Barnes makes up. That would be how I do the 10-man rotation in a way. That's how I do it. You sift in Barnes and Grady into the bench lineups. You sift in Brown and Agbaji into the starting lineups. Now, the issue is Abaji's got to step up. I saw somebody in chat say, who was it? Cannot read. What is this? Can we hide? What does this translate to? We're gonna risk it. We're gonna risk it. What is this name? Disney Donald Duck on the run. You know, that is a name that just rings a bell. I feel like this person has been in chat a long time ago, because I feel like I've done this. I've seen this movie before. They say just wave Agbaji. Not gonna do that. I still think there is potential there for the player. As my the cat, I'm cat sitting, joins in the frame. Hello. I don't think you can trade him. I think that the highest value you're going to get out of him is trying to use him and trying to work on the 3-point game. He's clearly a capable defender, to me. Clearly a capable defender. It's just he's got to figure out a way to play offense. Like, we can't have less than 30% shooting for 3. Honestly, we can't really settle for less than 33. And that's already decent low. We got to get him up to 34+% from 3, and then we're decent. His defense clearly is fine and suitable for the NBA level. So you got to continue to try and pump that. With Olynyk, I agree with Still Real One. God damn, this guy looked horrible at the Olympics. Horrible. He was so good at the FIBA World Cup last year. He was great for the Raptors near the end of the season. He looked so out of place at the Olympics. I don't know if he's injured or what. He looked terrible. He looked so out of place with Team Canada at the Olympics. I'm very much hoping that doesn't spill out into the NBA season. Trade Olynyk and give his spot to Brandon Carlson. I really don't think Brandon Carlson's there. Don't trade Olynyk. You sign him on an extension. Olynyk was very good for the Raptors near the end of the season last year. I would trust that more than I trust his Olympic performances. It's definitely alarming, but I would still continue to trust the fact that you gave him an extension, continue to use him. If things go south, yeah, now you have a decision to make. But he's on $13 million season. You're going to use that guy out the gate. And hopefully working with the Raptors again kind of rejuvenates him. I hate Bruce and Abaji playing meaningful minutes. Well, Bruce Brown is actually good. This is a weird one for me. Bruce Brown is legitimately good at basketball. Abaji, we can have a conversation about if Abaji is suitable. That is an actual conversation that can be had. Bruce Brown is very clearly a good basketball player and a very good one in perspective of the NBA. He's worthy of getting minutes here. I just hope Bruce Brown goes back to being Bruce Brown at the start of the season. And we all just, the whole conversation about his abilities just go out the window because we know he's a good basketball player. Yeah, I agree with 5 Adam. The positions I'm concerned about, rim protecting big, which not been addressed. Somebody, I'm a fun guy, says Bruno could really be big for us. Yeah, I sort of agree. There's a chance that's the case. But it's just such a big roster. I won't go as far to call it a deep roster. It's deep in the sense you've got 13, 14 guys who last season may have been in the rotation for the Raptors. Even though they're not necessarily a good team, there's a lot of decent players, if that makes sense. So Bruno Fernando could end up getting good backup big minutes, and I still think he can do that this season. But there's just so many guys who require game time, or should deserve game time. You know what I mean? Oche at the 4, Olynyk at 5 on the bench is atrocious if you ask me. Lack of size, rebounding, and defense for those positions would be awful to watch. Baji's a good defender. Olynyk's not. So what does it become? Olynyk as I was thinking my rotation. Abaji gets a lot of minutes with the starting guys. Does it become Olynyk at the 4, Barnes at the 3, Bruno Fernando at the 5? I don't think so. There's going to be some bad defense lineups for sure with the bench guys. There's going to be bad defense lineups everywhere for the Raptors this season. There's going to be some tough lineups. What do you think of Ulrich Shamshe, backup center? Not ready. He's not ready. The more physical bigs in the NBA would be a problem. I think there's potential there. Summer League, he blew me away in Summer League for real. So I think there's a future there. Thoughts on D'Lo potentially ending up with the Raptors? Yeah, we talked about that on Tuesday. ultimately, I think if the Lakers are prepared to part with a pick to take on Bruce Brown for the season, I'd do it. But I won't do it unless they're giving me a pick to take D'Lo on. I don't think they're going to do that. I'd be open to it if you get a pick, but not. I'm not a big fan of D'Angelo Russell, so it'll just be dependent on how willing the Lakers are to give up that 2029 first-round pick. The Raptors do love their non-shooters. See, the thing, this whole 6'8", 6'9" dream thing that was floated around for a while, the one thing the Raptors did not address, because that could work. I'm telling you, that could work. The NBA is, look at the Celtics. It's switchable defenders. That you want to have a super switchable defensive team. The Raptors knew that. They were building towards that. But what they failed to address is the shooting. And particularly when you had a player as gifted as Pascal Siakam, who continued to score 23 points per game with no spacing. Like, if you gave him space, things could have been different. But anyways, that's all in the past now. Shooting is important. Shooting and switchable defense. Hard to find guys who do both of those things, but the Raptors had a few of them, maybe not enough, and maybe just things didn't piece together when it needed to. I like Ochai Agbaji on defense, but I hate him guarding fours while Olynyk is guarding the 5. That's a good point from Havoc. As much as Agbaji is a good defender, if he's guarding fours, Olynyk's guarding 5s, that leads to a lot of a size discrepancy because Agbaji can guard 3s, can also guard 2s. But you're right. If he's playing like an actual 4, we're sacrificing a lot of size there. I agree. There's a lack of size on this team. It's crazy that all of a sudden the Raptors lack size. But yeah, I mean, look at this bench. Mitchell, he's got to be 6'2", 6'3". I actually don't remember off the top of my head. Excuse me, Jesus. 6'5", Walter. 6'4", Agbaji. I'm gonna double check. 6'6". Is he bigger than that? Is he 6'8"? He's 6'5". Christ Almighty. 6'5". This is a tiny fucking bench. Let's just, for the sake of it, let's double check. Agbaji plays, yeah, but he can't really play. He's not a 4. David Mitchell's 6 feet tall. He's not even. What am I smoking here? He's 6. 6 feet, 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", and Olynyk 6'10", but like no, he's not. What is Kelly Olynyk? Nah, he's probably 6'10". He's 6'11". He's not like a big though, you know. He's not a big. He's 6'11". So, man, yeah, you know, this is a small team. 6 feet, 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", 6'11", but not a true 6'11". I mean, your starters are good height. 6'3", 6'7", 6'6", 6'8" at least. He's 7. Bench is small. There are going to be some tough defensive lineups. Yeah. We needed Olynyk years ago. He's a corpse of what he was. I see, the Olympics, he looked like that. At the Olympics, he looked like a corpse, respectfully. He didn't look like that in the NBA season. He looked really good with the Raptors in the NBA last season. Mo needs to turn into a catch-and-shoot demon. That's the only way he makes sense to get any minutes. He literally didn't attempt a 3 in college. I think Mobo becoming at even close to serviceable 3-point shooter is not happening in the NBA. That's just not going to happen. Bench has more size now than last year. Does it have more? What was it last year? Flynn. Yeah, I actually have a graphic for this. What was it last year? Here. What was it last year? Did not have more size. Does not have more size this year. Gary Trent off the bench. Grady Dick. Otto Porter, Jalen McDaniels, Fred Chua. It's definitely bigger. It's not a huge bench, but it's definitely bigger than last year. Wow, things have changed a lot since last year. We went from lengthy non-shooters to small, mediocre shooters. Yeah, that is really what's gone down, isn't it? Alex. Koloko is perfect player to pair with Olynyk. Yeah, I hopefully maybe even Bruno Fernando can do a job there. Abashi might just slip out of rotation, which would be a shame. He's got to start hitting some shots, or he is out of rotation. Where do you think we will finish season, make playoff, or get top 3 pick? I think neither. We're not making playoffs. We're not a bottom 3 team either, though. Sorry if you hear my dog barking. Kelly looked washed. Again, I'm going to hold out hope that he finds a way to, get back to where he was that. Because what? Finish the season with the Raptors. When did we finish? May? 3 months? You don't just fall off a cliff in 3 months. So I'm hoping Olynyk kind of sorts it out in the NBA. I have belief he will. That Olympics was not him at his best. A more physical league, or a more physical game. Anyways, guys, 68 people in chat here. That's a lot for an off-season streamer. If you guys are enjoying the stuff that we have coming at you right now, please make sure you've hit that like button. We're at 13 likes. We got 68 people here. We got 13 likes. Come on. Let's pump this up to 25 likes. If you're enjoying the stream, please do hit that like button. If you want more Raptors content, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Appreciate it in advance. Sonny in chat says, I think Carlson is getting overlooked. I like the way he was competing in Summer League. He might be old, but he plays hard, great size, spreads the floor. There's potential here. Well, if Jonte Porter can get NBA minutes regularly, I'm not going to rule out Brandon Carlson doing that. But that was a bit before we had Olynyk. Or was it? Pirtle would have to get... I think there's a pathway to NBA minutes for Brandon Carlson. For sure. Okay, let me figure out why my dog's barking. All right, we back. Carlton's a worse Olynyk. I agree, worse Olynyk. Not saying there's nothing there, but there probably isn't really much there. There's something. I'm not going to play him NBA minutes out the gate. He's on a 2-way contract for a reason. But I think there's a reality where over the course of the season, he develops like injuries or something, and he gets... in the mix. He gets in the mix. We got a new subscriber here. 28 Money King has subscribed. Welcome to the Amateur Hour Army. Thank you so much for subscribing. Appreciate that. Hope you enjoy. Somebody in chat asked about the schedule. So for live streams like this, we go live Tuesdays and Thursdays, usually 7 p.m. Eastern time. Next Thursday, I'm on vacation. So next Thursday, there's no stream. But Tuesday, there will be a stream. During the NBA season, I am live for Raptors games. I do watch parties for those Raptors games. As far as videos are concerned, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do videos right here on Amateur Sports. Amateur Sports 2, I do videos Tuesday and Thursday. I am on vacation next week, so that will change. I'm on vacation from Thursday to Sunday. So content will be a bit on hold there. There just really isn't enough going on right now for me to prep videos in advance. I guess... if something goes down, we'll change that, but that's the current situation as far as content is concerned. Which Raptor would you want to see go on Hot Ones? I go Bobby Webster. Which Raptor would I want to see? Oh, man. Interesting question. Who would I put on Hot Ones from the Raptors? Bobby Webster would be an interesting one. Because you could get some... Bobby Webster's it seems like a cool guy. You get some decent insight into some former, Raptors doings. Other than that, like a player, I don't think you get. Maybe you could get some. Barnes would be a fun one, of course. I don't know. I can't think of anybody better than Barnes. So we'll go Webster and Barnes. Bobby Webster's a good shout, though. Schedule is not out as of yet for the NBA. Not out as of yet. Anyways, I did want to cover Chris Boucher here, though, because we've gone through the Raptors rotation. We've gone through the expectations for the Raptors rotation, what we think Darko might do, what I would do as far as the rotation is concerned. But in any rotation I've tried to predict, Chris Boucher is not at all involved. And it just kind of feels wrong because as much as I'm not a huge fan of Chris Boucher, I think there's enough talent there for him to be a rotation player somewhere in the NBA, particularly on some good teams who could use some size, some energy, and maybe a little bit of shooting sprinkled in. So I went through as many teams as possible, try and find areas in where Chris Boucher could thrive and what those trades could look like for the player. Here are 3 mock trades. Starting off with, before we get into it, there's 3 trades I have in mind here. And there's 3 real different types of trades here. So number 1 is using Chris Boucher to allow another team to salary dump to us and maybe pick up another asset on the way. Another way to do it is to package Chris Boucher with Bruce Brown to kind of salary dump as well, but you package him with Chris Boucher. The third possibility is a team feels like Chris Boucher actually offers something and the Raptors get some value in return as far as players are concerned. So we're going to go in that order, starting with a salary dump, pretty much straight up salary dump. So I won't lie, going around the league right now, it's actually a bit difficult to come up with a sort of trade that you can make for Chris Boucher because there's just like not a lot of contracts out there right now. Chris Boucher is making around $11 million this season. Not a lot of teams are giving that sort of a contract. Like, we're really in the age right now where you're making the big star money or you're making like minimum money. Not a lot of these $10 million contracts. But the Raptors have the cap space right now as a result of the trade involving the Sacramento Kings where they're able to get rid of Sasha Vezenkov's money for nothing. So the Raptors could take a bigger salary dump. And a team, I think, that like my thought with this team is that they should try and be good as soon as possible. Like, don't be patient. Try and be good now. That team is the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs should try to not rush things, but Wemby is really good heading into his second season already. Try and build a good team around him while he's still on his rookie contract. And a way to help them do that is to salary dump Harrison Barnes, who just got dumped to them by the Sacramento Kings. Salary dump Harrison Barnes, open up that cap space for next summer. Next summer, the Chris Paul contract also comes off the books. Chris Boucher will be effective for a season, but get off that money for next season. The Raptors take on a first-round pick in order to make this trade happen, but I've got Harrison Barnes to the Raptors on his $18 million per year contract for 2 years. I don't think Harrison Barnes is a horrible player for the Raptors to use. He can space the floor. He can shoot. He's 6'8". He's got decent size. I think that's something the Raptors could absolutely use. Get a pick on top of it. I have the Atlanta Hawks first-round pick for the upcoming year. Could be maybe I'm stretching with that, but they have a bunch of picks. But essentially, a good pick plus Harrison Barnes for Chris Boucher. I don't think that's outrageous. I think the Spurs maybe think that there is an opportunity here with Victor Wembanyama on his rookie contract still and try to maximize that in his third season, get off this Harrison Barnes contract. I know he just got traded, so this trade will be later down the line, but I don't think it's completely out of the realms of possibility. This is the thought process for the Spurs, and this is their way of salary dumping. Now, as I said also, you could take on a salary dump in a trade that involves packaging Chris Boucher alongside Bruce Brown. This would cost a bit more as far as assets are concerned, but the Warriors have been interested in dumping Andrew Wiggins. They didn't let him go to the Olympics, so they want to trade him. So take on the Andrew Wiggins money, package Bruce Brown with Chris Boucher. Maybe you get Gary Payton with it as well. But the essence of this trade is you're taking Andrew Wiggins, you're getting rid of the Boucher and Brown contract. You have to pay that Andrew Wiggins 3 years on $26+ million. I think that was front loaded. So I think it's descending. Anyways, it's a bit of money here for Andrew Wiggins for this trade. But if Andrew Wiggins can get anywhere close to where he was previously, he's a big wing defender the Raptors absolutely could use, and he can shoot. Definitely something where the Raptors can find value. He was dealing with injuries, personal issues. Can Andrew Wiggins get back to the player that was so effective towards helping the Warriors win an NBA championship? Perhaps that's in there. However, we have to recognize from a Warriors perspective, Andrew Wiggins is a negative asset. You have to pay us to take him. Bruce Brown helps them. Chris Boucher, with the size, can help them as well. There's a lack of size in the team. Chris Boucher can help them. So I think Chris Boucher and Bruce Brown help out the Warriors. We take the negative asset in Andrew Wiggins. I have Gary Payton for more salary matching purposes here, but it's completely possible that you can avoid putting Gary Payton in here. The penalty for giving us Andrew Wiggins is we get some picks. I put in a first for 2027, and I put in a second round pick via the Atlanta Hawks for 2026. Don't think it's crazy value here. I think that this is one that the Warriors could think. We wipe our hands clean of the Andrew Wiggins contract. We can focus more on building around Steph Curry. The Raptors take a chance on Andrew Wiggins getting back to where he was, and they get some draft assets as well in return for that. I think that's something suitable for the Raptors to take on. You get value out of Bruce Brown and Chris Boucher, which you may not do over the course of the season. Final trade that I have here, and this is one that I floated around last season as well. It's the potential of the Oklahoma City Thunder finding value in trading for Chris Boucher. Two guys I have my eyes on that probably won't be in rotation for them much are Kenrich Williams and Ousmane Dieng. Kenrich Williams, good defender. Again, fits that sort of big wing defender that we need. I like Williams, and he can shoot. 3 years at $6.6 million. I don't know if the Thunder need to use that. I think he'd be effective for the Raptors out the gate. And Ousmane Dieng, after 2 NBA seasons, drafted relatively high, just hasn't really made an imprint. And for a loaded Oklahoma City Thunder team, there's just not much of a role there for the player. So for me, the Raptors take on Williams, who I think helps them out the gate. And they get a bit of a flyer on Dieng to see if they can find some of that untapped potential. In return, the Thunder get some energy, and they get rebounding, which is something they could definitely use, alongside having maybe a little bit of extra shooting to the team out around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Not a completely ridiculous trade, not a completely ludicrous scenario overall, something I could see going down. In the end, if I'm going to be completely honest, the reality is Boucher is a tough asset to trade, as showcased by the type of trades that I've had to come up with here. He's a difficult asset to trade. I don't see many teams really wanting to take him on. The likely scenario is he probably doesn't really have a role here this season. There isn't a big market of free agents out there, so it's not really justifiable to buy him out. The reality is Boucher is probably on contract for the Raptors for the rest of the season, and then he becomes a free agent. We open up that cap space. We open up money to pay Scotty Barnes at the end of the season. It is what it is. I've done my best here to find some trade scenarios. I think in a way they do make sense, but they all seem rather unlikely. Again, Boucher, whether you want to call it unfortunate or not, is probably here to stay. I tried. I wanted to piece it together. I forced myself to find some possible trade scenarios, but those were the best 3 I could come up with, and that's probably saying something as well, But we'll see what happens with him over the course of the year. I know they got Hardenstein, which takes away from that, but they could probably do with a better rebounder in there than Jay Will coming off the bench. So that's why I do go with think maybe there's a chance for Chris Boucher to have a bigger role there for the season. Yeah, I can see I like Kenrich Williams, and maybe they do too, but it's just not a real spot for him in the rotation. That's why I kind of think that maybe they could think about going with Kenrich Williams in a trade there. If you can get picks off the Warriors, I'm okay with trading for Andrew Wiggins. Because like, there's a good player in there, you know? There's a good player in there. I wouldn't mind Boucher in rotation, but just not really a spot for him. The Raptors have just a lot of players who warrant game time, and Boucher kind of is near the bottom of those guys. It is what it is. All right. We've gone a bit over than I was expecting to go today. I was expecting this to be a leaner stream, so that will pretty much do it. Anything else you guys have, let me know. If not, we are going to wrap things up here. If you guys have enjoyed this stream, make sure you do hit that like button. A lot of people watched today. I really appreciate it. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, all I ask, well, watching is enough. But hey, if you're here and enjoyed, hitting that like button does go a long way to helping out the channel. If you want to see more streams like this, I do streams Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. You can subscribe for that. I do videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday on this channel. You can also get subscribed for that as well. And I do videos on my second channel, Amateur Hour Sports 2, Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. Next week, I'm on vacation. As I said, I'm going away on Thursday. I'm going to be back on Sunday. We'll resume content. We'll see if I'm in the mood to do it on Monday, but I will be back on Tuesday regardless for the stream. So hopefully you guys can tune in for that. But I'll be back on Tuesday for a stream regardless. I'll be here Monday, Wednesday for videos. So still plenty of content to check out there. Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for supporting Amateur Sports. We've got a new season on the way very, very soon. You don't want to miss out by getting involved.